Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back and happy Aries season. I plan on posting this on the first day of Aries season, so by the time you see this, the sun will already be in Aries. The moon will currently be in Aries as we speak. Mercury will turn around and station direct at 3:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the day of the equinox. What a gift! What a gift that is! But we already did the Aries season transit update, and now we're looking at the moon cycles for Aries season, specifically the Libra full moon that we will see on what other day other than April Fool's Day. Now, as always, I will have the chart on here on the video, and if you see me looking to the side, I have my notes over here, so just pay that no mind. I will keep talking, and we're just going to jump right into it. We will have the full moon station exact at 12 degrees Libra, and then the sun will be at 12 degrees Aries. I believe it's, 12:21 to be exact, so 12 degrees and 21 minutes, which I think that mirror imaging is potent here. I spoke in the Aries season transit video how we have a lot of very synchronistic planetary movements. We have a couple of 333s, some 1010s. Again, this mirror imaging with 12 degrees and 21 minutes. And I think there's something else that's a mirror image on here later on that we'll talk about. But again, there's something, astrologers have been talking about this Aries season for a long time now. There's something prolific about the energy that we are moving through. And again, just having the full wind moon falling on April Fool's Day in itself seems like not necessarily a trick of the universe, but almost like a piercing the veil through to reveal the divine comedy of it all. That's kind of the energy I'm getting here. And a rather impactful aspect that this moon and the sun will be making at the time of the full moon will be the sun will be trining our dark moon Lilith with a just about a 1.5 degree orb, and then the moon will be sextiling Lilith again with that same orb. And with Lilith involved with this full moon that's occurring on April Fool's Day, and then the full moon itself, being in Libra, will be ruled by a domicile Taurus, which is already having us activate that divine feminine energy within us. Lilith making a potent aspect to both the sun and the moon, aspects that are considered harmonious, are bringing us back to themes that we're moving through on the day of the Pisces new moon, which stationed exact on March 18th, 2026. Now, on that day, we had Mercury and the North Node conjunct each other. And then we had the dark moon Lilith squaring that energy. Squares are tense aspects because they are grounding, first of all. So it's a very grounded energy. So if you're trying to work more in the spiritual realm, squares at that time can make it a bit more difficult to get into that heady aspect because again, it is very earthly. It's very on earth. The square as a shape represents the earth element. The square is representative of Saturn. There are a lot of things that bring us back to earth when it comes to squares, including those aspects. So that's why they're considered tension, because our energy wants to be spirit. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and our energy loves to be tapped into that spirit. But the square aspect keeps us in the tangible, it keeps us in the material realm. So with Lilith having squared Mercury and the North Node during that new moon in Pisces, that was an emphasis, and I spoke a lot on this on that video if you want to go check it out just for hindsight purposes, but that square really represented allowing the dark divine feminine aspects of yourself that have been repressed, that you've been taught are meant to be like pushed away. Those are things like shame or your sexuality or just being a woman and being loud and proud and boisterous if you are a woman watching this, or if you're a man. Part of that Lilith energy for men is having to fit the standard typical idea of what society deems manly, not allowing yourself to tap into that receptive energy, not allowing yourself to be softer or more feminine. That's also Lilith being repressed in the masculine side of things. So it's just about looking at the things that we've been taught we have to hamper, we have to put away and pretend don't exist just to keep up appearances in society. With that square, with that tension, with the North Node and Mercury together, as we were speaking life into what we want to see grow, that's the destiny aspect of the North Node, and then death, as it Mercury opposed the South Node at the same time, speaking death over what we want to see fall away that we know we don't need anymore. Lilith was helping us use our dark divine feminine, those aspects that have been repressed, so we can utilize them to integrate that as we speak life into what we want to see grow. So it wasn't just speaking life into this lofty vision of like ideals of what we want. It was also speaking life subconsciously into the versions of ourselves we would like to be, into the versions of ourselves that we're sick of repressing, the versions of ourselves that we want to bring to the light. All of those things that we were taught to be afraid or ashamed of. That was part of what was being spoken into existence with that Mercury North Node conjunction. Now, as it's trining the sun brings illumination. The sun brings light. So this trine together is bringing illumination to the work that you have done, the work that you have put in order to foster the words of your or your desired reality. Since the new moon, Have you actually been speaking life into what you want to see grow? Have you been allowing yourself to align to the version of yourself that is more full and embodied, that will continue down that path towards the destiny of your dreams? If you have been doing that, if you have been subtly coming into alignment with a version of yourself you see manifesting those goals and actually walking the path towards what you want to see grow, this is going to be a very harmonious energy where it's just almost a check in of sorts. A check in that almost tells you that it's okay to let go of the shame. It's okay to not hold on to that anymore. That's part of what the Aries Chiron conjunction was dissolving, right? It's okay to release the shame and the burdens you were carrying for so long about the repression and continue to bring to light those things that have been repressed because they are all a part of you and they all have an important role to play in the story of your becoming towards this destiny. Now, if you haven't been speaking life into these ideals, if you haven't been coming into alignment, if you haven't been integrating your shadows and the things you've been taught that you had to repress, this is going to be more of a wake up call. It's going to be like, say your mom tells you to clean your room, right? And you're like, I don't actually want to clean. I'm just going to make it look like it's clean. So you shove a bunch of the stuff under the bed and then put the sheets over it so you can't see it. And maybe there's a big pile of dirt and you just brush it under the rug and you pretend it's not there. What the sun trining Lilith is going to do, it's going to put a bright light, an unignorable light on all of those little aspects of what you were still trying to hide, right? All of those things that you felt you still have to carry shame around, all of the things you're leaving unintegrated. It's going to shine a bright light on it. So it'll say, okay, you can choose to do that if you want, but I won't let you ignore it. You're going to have to pay attention to it. And if you still want to pay attention to it and keep it under the rug, knowing it's now the elephant in the room, knowing that every time you try to just zone out or play a video game or read a book or do whatever you want to take your mind off of the big thing that you're ignoring and shoving away, your responsibilities to yourself, essentially, you're not going to be able to ignore it. You're not going to be able to relax because you can see it now. Maybe it was tucked away for a while to the point where you maybe forgot about it for a little bit. And mom even came in, she checked through and she said, oh, it looks really good. I'm proud of you. Gave you a little like rub on the head, whatever. You know, you know what's lingering. You know the truth. And the sun shining Lilith is going to put a bright light to illuminate that truth to you. Do you still want to ignore it? Do you still want to pretend it's not there? You can. You can. It's just not going to be comfortable. And now, if we focus on the moon's sextile to Lilith, I think this is where we get that idea of what I talked about with the mirror imaging, the 12 degrees in 21 minutes. 1, 2, 2, 1. Usually we see it more when it goes 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. But the idea of going from 0 up to a certain number and then back down, it's the idea of coming from the nothingness, entering the one, going to duality, then creation, then coming back down to the duality, going back to the one, and then merging back with nothingness. So it's like that idea on a smaller scale. But again, it's going from 1 to 2 to 2 to 1. So it's not necessarily starting at the nothingness. We're already in existence. We are already the one. We are already embodied in the one. And we're going up to merge with duality, staying with duality for a moment and then going back to the one, to almost like dipping our toes into the waters of what creation could be. But 1 plus 2 equals 3. So there's this subtle underlying current of creation is still bubbling below the surface. It's not that we're skipping or ignoring creation. It's just that in this aspect, and the moon reveals what is hidden, and Lilith deals with the things that we repress. So this sextile, this harmonious connection between the two, along with that mirror imaging of the 1, 2, 2, 1, it's not necessarily creation isn't on the forefront of your mind right now. But if you follow the steps to go from step 1 to step 2, 2 back to 1, bringing yourself to the wholeness, to then go into union, and then go back to the 1 into your individual wholeness, the aspect of creation is underlying. So it's almost like it's this idea that while you cannot see what is being planted or what will become from following these steps of starting here, expanding, and then going back here, there's creation underlying. There is creation underneath the surface that is awaiting you. And it's not something that you need to overtly keep your eyes on. You just have to trust that the creation is bubbling below the surface. Because again, the moon deals with what is hidden. And even though it's a full moon is an illuminated light, but the moon's light that it shines, it's not its own. It's the reflection of the sun. So in that way, it's going to amplify the fact that we cannot ignore what we've been repressing. We cannot ignore any longer what we've been trying to hide under our bed or sweep under the rug or shut away in the closet. We can't do that anymore. Everything that's hidden the more you try to hide it or hide from it, the bigger it's going to get, the more illuminated it's going to get. And the more, no matter how you try to put something else into creation to take the spot of that discomfort that you may feel from trying to continue to repress these things, the more you try to hide away and pretend those aspects don't exist, the more that's going to bubble into creation. The more that's going to subconsciously continue to show itself. So that every person you meet, every opportunity you come across, every single thing you meet in your life until you deal with the whatever you're repressing, every single thing will bring to mind the fact that you are repressing that thing. It's not going to go away. And that's kind of what bubbles under the surface. That's what that creation is. It's still being formed. And until you do something about it, that's the only thing that's going to be created. That's amplified by this full moon. April Fool's Day. Haha, really funny joke we got going on there. But it's like, it's just a call to action. It's a call to say, hey, get your shit together and stop ignoring what you know you need to move through. That's kind of what we're dealing with the sun and the moon. Now, our Mercury's still going to be in Pisces, but again, as I post this, it will have likely already turned around or will be turning around by the end of the day today. But when the full moon comes about, Mercury will already station direct. It'll already move back past the North Node again, and we'll be at 14 degrees at this point. So while we'll have that more selfish leaning energy, that impulsive, that action oriented energy of Aries season already underway, Mercury is still in Pisces, keeping us more, not necessarily grounded, but more tapped into the collective understanding, that more empathetic side of how we are allowing ourselves to see where we are, where we're going, and keeping other people in mind while we are taking specific actions that help benefit us. And on top of that, it's at 14 degrees, which is a Taurus degree, which automatically gives it a more softer, understanding energy to it. But what this Mercury aspect is representing, especially because the day after the full moon, it will directly trine Jupiter, which is in Cancer at 15 degrees Pisces in Cancer at that point. What this Mercury aspect, while it's subtle and underlying and unconscious more so, while we're moving through the full moon, it's asking us to look where we are still people pleasing, where we are allowing our communication to focus more on the other person's feelings rather than our own personal growth or understanding. Or not even necessarily their feelings, but are you trying to tiptoe around the truth? Are you recognizing the depths of emotions that your words or actions can cause others? And because you don't want to upset them, you are, again, hampering or dampening your expression. How are you putting yourself on the back burner in order to allow other people to feel comfortable or comfort or, just keep up their appearances as usual? Are you being the one that's helping somebody else continue to hide from their own things that they're repressing? Again, it's a very underlying energy, but with all of this other Aries, fiery, action oriented, go, go, go energy that we have here, this is the one that's kind of keeping us tapped into the collective, keeping us tapped into empathy. But it's also, as we're tapped into that empathy, it's asking, how are you being the one that's not allowing either yourself or other people to grow into their fullest capacity? And if you and, say, another close friend, if you're both sweeping shit under the rug, if you're both hiding things under the bed, and you're both just telling each other, like, yeah, it's all good, girl. Like, don't even worry about it. Girl power. Like, we can ignore it. It'll go away. It's fine. Y'all know what you're doing. Y'all know what you're doing. So that's what Mercury is asking. It's gazing into the ways in which you are allowing yourself to either self-destruct or be self-deprecating or be your own blockage in communication in the way you approach and navigate life, especially through your mind, and how you are being that for others through your communication as well. And then again, the next day, it's going to exactly trine Jupiter. So that trine is going to bring expansion to whatever it is that you are actively doing in your form of communication. Are you giving your power away to others? That's going to expand. Are you taking the steps to recognize the ways you're giving your power away to others and maybe not necessarily taking action yet, but you're aware of it now? Because that awareness will grow and expand so that you will be ready to take the action towards whatever you need to moving forward. That trine with Jupiter is going to expand upon whatever it is that you are doing, including if you're still trying to hide and repress. So keep that in mind as we move through this Libra full moon. It's just going to keep getting bigger. That elephant will keep growing until you do something about it. And that's not just in your own life, it's also in the life of the people you keep close to you and the people you may be enabling in your own or their own bad habits. Remember, Pisces is escapism. And that's all I'll say about that. And Venus will still be at 2 degrees when the moon station's exact, although at the very, very tail end, it'll be at 2 degrees and 59 minutes. So literally the last iteration of that 2 degrees. But it's still 2 degrees, which is a Taurus degree, and it's domicile in Taurus as well. So we have this full moon, which is in Libra, ruled by a domicile Taurus at a Taurus degree. So it's putting a softer edge on this illumination. Yes, like I said, there's going to be a lot of illumination of what we're keeping hidden and a nudge to recognize and bring awareness to what we have been hiding from ourselves and how we can actually look at what we're hiding in order to integrate it to grow towards our destiny, right? That's the main theme of it. But with all of this Taurus Venus energy being where it likes to be for the most part, it's putting a softer edge to it. So even if you are seeing the ugly truth, for example, it's like what I'm picturing here, it's like being able to find the good angles even when you are crying, screaming, throwing up, and you look like shit. You might look like shit, but you know exactly how to pose in order to get that pretty picture. That's kind of what this Venus energy is bringing. So, again, if you have been integrating, if you have been doing the work to put your eyes on and awareness towards what needs to be integrated and seen and dealt with, this isn't going to be as relevant, and the energies are actually going to help you the energies will be more harmonious to help you continue to integrate and bring light and awareness to what you are ready to integrate and let go of and release and move towards and all of that. So this is more for the people who are still trying to hide from themselves. But regardless, the energy that this Venus placement is bringing as it rules the full moon, it's like the idea that no bad news can make a bad life. No single bad day can make a bad life. No bad minute can make a bad day. That kind of energy. If you move with that energy and awareness, there's nothing that can stop you from actively amplifying your values, from actively moving towards your values and not only moving towards, but allowing your values to move through you and animate your life in general. It's the idea that there's still beauty in the depths. There's still beauty in the darkness. There's still beauty in the pain. And there's beauty in everything that we try to hide from ourselves and others. There's beauty in everything that we feel shame about. There is beauty in everything. That's what this Venus energy is amplifying, especially at that last minute of that 2 degrees. So we have the wisdom of what it means to really embody that Taurian energy, right? That Venus energy, which is focused on values. It's focused on luxury. It's focused on a comfortable life. And it knows, especially Taurus. Taurus is stubborn. So yes, Taurus can hurt their own feelings sometimes, but the thing I like about Taurus energy is they don't get stuck on things. They're stubborn because they know what they like and they know what they want and they know how to get what they like when they want it. And then any obstacle that gets in the way, they're like, okay, that's fine. I'll navigate around it and I'll get to where I'm going. They don't really dwell on a lot of things. When they are angry, they are the bull. So you'll feel that anger head on. But then once the anger passes, they're like, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. That's the energy we're moving with here. So again, it's just that emphasis on anything you are still trying to hide from yourself. It's so much easier to face it head on. Be the bull. We have the ram energy with Aries and the bull energy with Taurus. Face it head on. Face it head on. Face it head on. Whatever you are still trying to ignore, it's just going to get bigger. So you might as well just face it head on. That's the energy. And again, with Venus being in domicile in a Taurus degree during this full moon, which is ruled by that Venus that's domiciled a Taurus degree, it's a soft edge. It's bringing beauty to that which you don't want illuminated, but you have no choice to allow it to be illuminated. Oh, and now that I'm looking at the aspects of that Venus, it's also making an exact quintile, well, not exact. So a quintile aspect with a 1 degree orb. So it's very, very close. And quintile aspects, they bring a sense of mastery and talent and growth to your gifts. Oh, I don't know if I said it. It's making a quintile aspect to Jupiter. But that I love quintiles because again, they are more rare and they're more subtle, but they cannot help but be experienced. So it's more of it's something that you unconsciously adopt or unconsciously express without even actually realizing it. So with Venus and Jupiter together, it's almost like Venus and Jupiter making a near exact quintile aspect. It's almost as if the more you allow yourself to actually put a light on and illuminate the things that you don't want to see, rather than Jupiter expanding the discomfort of that which you're trying to avoid and pretend doesn't exist, it's almost as if Jupiter will if Jupiter knows you are putting your awareness on your values and how you can use your values to sort through the entire mess that you may still have underneath your bed, if you're making the efforts to do that, Jupiter will not only illuminate that which you're ignoring and that which you're repressing and that which brings you shame, but the gifts that are hiding underneath the mess that you've created. Walk through that and use that as almost a motivator to get yourself to do the work to sort through the rubble, to find the gifts. Because they're there. They are there. They're there. And they will be revealed the more you move towards the discomfort of whatever it is you are trying to avoid or ignore. Don't be afraid. And then we have Mars at 23 degrees Pisces, and I don't think it's making, yeah, it's not making any exact aspects to anything else. It's at an Aquarius degree, but we're still underwater, so it's still that idea of just running with weights on your ankles. When Mars gets into Aries season, that's going to be, or when Mars moves into Aries, it's going to be a much different energy. But for now, with Mars and Mercury together, Mercury is the fast moving planet, but it's underwater, so it does have trouble navigating underwater. Mars is our planet of action and it's underwater, so it has trouble moving forward underwater. It'll feel like this, and I said this in the Aries season trends video. It'll still feel like you're putting in all of your effort to move forward and you can't move forward and you don't know what you're doing. It's just this energy of patience. It's like, especially as you're moving towards the repression and the things that you don't want to look at, as you approach that, approach it with a sense of understanding that patience is a virtue, and patience will bring you what you need and what you want to see grow. And the more you can slowly move with this energy that we are moving with on this full moon, the more you can allow it the space to expand in the ways it wants to expand, at the pace it wants to expand as well, without having to rush it, without feeling like you need to rush it, without flailing all over the place to get it done. Take it step by step. Our Taurus energy, our Venus and Taurus energy, and the energy of Venus ruling the full moon, that's going to help you slow down. Mars in Pisces is going to help you slow down and find find again the word gifts wants to come up. Find the gifts in the stillness, in the slowness, in not necessarily just shoving everything out from under the bed and just throwing it everywhere and then having to deal with that whole big mess. But sitting down next to your bed, turning on your favorite music, maybe putting on a face mask and just sorting through everything one by one. Oh, I remember this. This was really fun, but I think I can get rid of it. Oh, I really like this shirt. I don't know how I forgot. I thought somebody had taken it. I thought I lost it. Oh, let's put that in the hamper so I can wear it again. Sort through it one by one. Because if you go through it slowly, you allow your mind, which again is also in Pisces, so slower moving because it's underwater, you allow your mind the space to expand and feel the feelings of everything that is coming up as you move through these things. And then the wisdom comes through the awareness. The wisdom comes through the expanse. The wisdom comes through the feelings again because Jupiter is involved with this as well. So that's really all that Mars. That's all that's really happening with Mars. It's just that emphasis of patience through the process. Again, with Jupiter, we're at 15 degrees and 51 minutes Cancer. We have that same mirror imaging. So 1551. And while the first one with the Sun and the Moon was 1221, moving from individualism to duality to individualism, this one is the one moving directly towards creation and expression and expansion and change, staying with that change for a while and then dropping back down to the one. So it gives almost this like poetic artistry, like almost like a chaotic energy to it, but chaotic in a good way, not chaotic in like a crazy entropy way. It's like the Mad Hatter energy. I used a Mad Hatter as an example last time too. But that's kind of the energy here. It's like that chaotic artist that will just do things for the plot, and that Jupiter loves doing things for the plot because they know that there's wisdom in doing things for the plot. And I think with this 15 degrees is a Gemini degree. Come on now, 15 degrees is a Gemini degree, which also loves to do things for the plot. Very mercurial in that aspect. And then it's also making a loose conjunction with Eros at 13 degrees as well. And that's only going to grow in the days following because Eros is going to get closer and closer to Jupiter. So it's almost like as you approach this energy of creation and expression and change and expansion that Jupiter wants to create in that 15 degrees, that 1551, through communication too. There's this underlying eroticism. It's very flirty. There's a lot of flirt energy on the day of this full moon. There's a lot of flirty energy on the day of this full moon, but it's all subtle. It's all very like not necessarily unconscious, but like under the water. It's under the water. So it's like everybody's playing in the pool, right? And then maybe everybody's standing in a circle and everybody's just having a regular conversation, but then your crush like subtly reaches their foot out to like rub your foot or under, like, so there's shady stuff going under the water, right? But it's like cute and it's flirty and it's fun. Like that's kind of the energy we're getting here. So there's this massive emphasis on the illumination of the things we don't want to see, but at the same time, so it's like that illumination and the like all of that is very conscious, right? It's very much saying like you can't ignore this stuff any longer. But at the same time, while you are being forced to face what you need to face, while you're being forced to bring awareness to those things you need to bring awareness to, underneath of it, there's a playful energy. It's not so serious. It's genuinely not so serious. And it's also just helping you tap back into your own value system and what you love and what you find beauty in. But it's like you got to deal with what's up here so that the playfulness doesn't have to be unconscious or subtle anymore. It doesn't have to be under the surface, but that allow that playfulness to guide you through the discomfort, because the more you can tap into that play, even if it is just a little bit, and as you're sorting through all of your stuff and the more you can tap into that play, it makes dealing with the discomfort a lot easier. It makes dealing with any repressed shame or anything else a lot easier there. And that flirty playfulness is just emphasized by the fact that our Jupiter is ruled by our full moon in Libra, which is ruled by our domicile Venus. Come on. Come on. This is a time for flirting. This is a time for fun. And it's a time to just tap into that playful side of yourself as you approach these more serious topics. And then we have Saturn at 5 degrees and 41 minutes in Aries, which directly sextile our Pluto at 5 degrees and 14 minutes in Aquarius. So again, we have that mirror imaging, but this one isn't as direct. It's more in the subtleties. A lot of the energy here is in the subtleties, but I love that connection because numerologically speaking, this degree with its 5 degrees 1-4, 5 degrees 4-1, they have the same base underlying energy to them because it's both 5-1-4, 5-4-1. So this aspect together is just really asking us to bring a greater awareness to that which we have been speaking death over specifically, to allow us to usher in the needed transformation to align with our goals and visions that we see ourselves moving towards, which we spoke life in during the Pisces new moon. So that future that we had for us, that future we had of our future visions, we were speaking life and or death into what we want to see fall, life into what we want to see grow. This sextile with Saturn and Pluto is just emphasizing that, and it's putting almost like base layer, like brick foundation towards that lofty, dreamy idea that you spoke life into. So it's almost like the speaking of it was getting the idea out into the universe. So your spirit guides, whoever, whatever astral energy you work with, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, whatever astral energy you work with out there, you speaking life into what you wanted, sent that manifestation, sent that intention out into the universe. So then when it comes to the Libra full moon and Saturn and Pluto are making that direct sextile, and I think this is going to be at least a couple days um that they are together in that near exact sextile at 5 degrees. So this isn't just on the new moon, but it's almost the idea of like the intentions out in the universe, and now your spirit team is allowing you to place the bricks, to place the foundations to actually start down the yellow brick road, start down that brick road towards your destiny. And it's emphasizing too that, like, especially with Pluto representing death and destruction in the name of transformation to then birth and renew and bring life, Pluto is both sides of that. And again, Pluto etymologically means wealth. Just saying, just saying, just saying. But what that represents here is the more you speak life and or death into what you want to see grow and or crumble, the more you follow those urges and trust that anything that is coming up to the surface after you speak death over something you are ready to walk away from. Anything that bubbles up to the surface emotionally speaking from your past, maybe doubts of the future, maybe anxieties, dead things float, right? Dead things float. So when something dies within you, meaning like when you have moved through consciously or unconsciously some sort of emotional like tether that has been binding you for far too long, when you finally move through that, again, maybe even without you actually knowing you did it, maybe you did it during your dreams, maybe you actually have been moving through it, either way, if something dies within you that you no longer need to carry, that final bubbling brings it up to the surface, brings it to your awareness, because dead things float. Dead things float to the surface, not so you can ruminate on them, not so you can look at the dead body and be like, oh my God, now what? What are you going to do about it? You're going to call a team that can excavate that body. But in this case, it's you and your emotions. So it's just about looking at the dead thing that is now floating to the surface, bringing your awareness to it, thanking it for either keeping you safe or saying fuck you if it kept you hindered or whatever emotion comes up in response to whatever is coming to the surface there. Honor that emotion. Give it thanks for allowing you the space to honor whatever that emotion is, whether it's perceivably positive or negative, and let it go. Let the thing float out of your consciousness. And this actually, I was in a meditation the other day and I envisioned like the scene from Toy Story is a good one where they're about to fall into, it's like Toy Story 3 or 4, they're about to fall into the trash compactor hole. That's what I envisioned in my mind, like a massive, massive, massive black hole that just any thought form that I don't need to hold on to anymore, it falls into that trash compactor, right? And then it falls all the way down and then eventually just down and out of my ear canal so it can be reconsumed by the infinite. I don't have to hold on to it anymore. That's kind of the same energy here with Pluto and Saturn. It's allowing the release of the dead things that are now floating. If it's coming to the surface, it's because it's time to release it. It's not so you can feel more shame or repress it down even further. Please, for the love of God, do not repress anything that comes down or that comes up. Feel it, understand it, integrate the lesson, and release it. That's what this sextile is asking us to do, especially in the realm of this full moon where we have so much illumination coming to that which we need to stop repressing. That's the theme here. We need to stop repressing everything that is coming up. Oh, and then we have our Uranus also sharing the space in Taurus with our domicile Venus, so it's ruled by that domicile Venus in Taurus. Uranus is still at 28 degrees as the Libra full moon passes through. It's not making any major aspects again, other than sharing that space with Taurus, but it is like a Uranus. I love Uranus energy because it is subtle but powerful. Even if it's not making any prominent aspects in your birth chart, for example. It is subtle but powerful energy wherever it lays in your birth chart. And as it's sharing space with Venus, it's a similar energy that the Saturn and Pluto energy is bringing as well. It's this unexpected changes, unexpected endings in the realms of your value system and what you find beauty in. As Venus shares space with Uranus before Uranus moves into Gemini, Venus might actually make that conjunction before it moves into Gemini. I have to double check the transits. That'll be a later date, but regardless, even when it's sharing the space, Uranus is bringing changes to that which you might have, like hold value in. That how you define yourself and the ways that you find beauty in the world. Uranus might bring unexpected changes to the way you identify yourself with beauty, both that you see and that you carry with you every day. You might realize one day that your values are changing, especially as you continue to integrate the things that you have repressed in that Lilith energy. As you integrate what you've repressed, you maybe think like, oh, I used to think that this was a really redeeming quality I had about myself, but now I see it was really just a coping mechanism to keep me safe. And I use like being nice as a really good example of this. I was a really bad people pleaser, and I would use niceness as a way to almost force people to like me, right? Because if I was nice, what's not to like? But I didn't realize that the niceness was just a coping mechanism from being abandoned and being hurt and being cast out and all of these different things. And while yes, I am a very kind person at my core, I no longer use niceness as a manipulation tactic to try to convince people to like me. It was doing the opposite because me forcing niceness was not being real. And that's kind of the energy that Uranus is bringing here. That it's again, it's subtle, it's underlying, but there are changes that are stirring beneath the surface, especially in the realm of what Venus represents. And because it's sharing that space with Venus, and Venus is ruling our full moon, it's subtle, but it's a prominent and very strong energy that is offering you the opportunity to see the ways in which you can change and evolve as you integrate these aspects of yourself that have been hidden or repressed or shamed away. Allow them to change. And that's another thing that Uranus is doing here. It's asking you to let go of the things that you have held on to that define yourself, not only to keep you safe, but the things that have allowed to define yourself, your personality, how you approach relationships. They're meant to change, and especially as Uranus moves closer to Gemini, talk about massive changes. Talk about massive changes there. But again, where the Saturn and Pluto energy is more like boots on the ground, we're getting the work done. We're putting not necessarily force, but we're putting action, and it's less like airy fairy, and it's more I am letting this die. Like literally talking about dead things and floating. Like that's the energy of the Saturn and Pluto aspect there. But with Uranus and Venus, again, it's that softer edge. It's finding the good angles even on a bad day. It's allowing the change to happen because you know if you can integrate this change without putting up much of a fight, it's going to help you not only seek out but find more beauty in more unexpected places. So it's again a softer landing with that and more beautiful. And I think you'll find beauty as the change commences itself as well. So keep yourself open to it. Oh, and then of course we've got Neptune at 2 degrees, which is making an exact semi-sextile to Venus. So 2 degrees Aries for Neptune, and then 2 degrees Taurus for Venus. Semi-sextiles are exactly 30 degrees apart. And again, they are minor aspects. They're not because even sextiles are more subtle aspects, and then you get half of the sextile, which is even more subtle. But it's still an aspect that's almost like it's almost like with Venus and Neptune together, it's planets of dissolving, but also planets of our spirituality and the ways in which we discover mysticism, not only in the world, but through ourselves. And through that mysticism we find within ourselves, we can see it in the world around us. So, especially in pursuit of your value system, and especially as Uranus is allowing you the opportunity to kind of shed and allow the change to commence towards what you find beauty in and what you consider your own personal value system, Neptune with a semi sextile to Venus there is almost amplifying and allowing those more subtle nudges to bring you to unexpected yet vastly beautiful places. But at the same time, just be aware because again, Neptune is illusion. It can be disillusionment in that aspect. So if you are letting go of things you know no longer serve you, you are keeping parts of yourself open. Which, when parts of ourselves are open, our unconscious doesn't like that wide open space. So sometimes it'll grab onto anything. It seemed like it declares shiny and pretty and that it wants it. Just be mindful of what the open space, what you're bringing towards you to fill that space, because not everything that's shiny is necessarily valuable. Take pyrite, for example. I love pyrite, but that's because I love crystals. But pyrite is fool's gold. It's ultimately not really worth much. But if you go after it thinking it's gold and then you get onto it and then you're like, yeah, I love it. I'm going to sell this at the pawn shop and get so much money. And then they're like, we can give you $5. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's a nice lesson to learn, but just be wary, because if you don't need to learn the lesson, it's better to have the awareness to say, "Wait, I won't be tricked by this. I won't be tricked by this." That's kind of the energy that Neptune semi-sextile is giving. It's just being mindful of, as you are making the space with the changes that Uranus is helping to, or Uranus is helping Venus to make, as you're making the space within. Be diligent, be discerning, be mindful of what you are filling that space with. Not all that glitters is gold, baby. Not all that glitters is gold. We already talked about Pluto. We've got Chiron still making that conjunction with Eris, but it's still within a degree, but we've gone past the massive energy of that with the Pisces new moon. So it's not anything that we need to keep talking about. But again, it's just be mindful of allowing the pains and the traumas and the stories of your pains and your traumas, allow them to crumble, allow chaos to shake things up so you can stop identifying with those stories. Again, are we sensing a theme here with this full moon? To me, lock it, put away the key, whatever, whatever. Lilith, we already talked about. Oh, sorry, I need some water. Hold on. Hmm. Oh, oy vey. Oh, okay. Okay, this is a great aspect to end it on. So Lilith at, let me see the exact degree. Lilith will be at 11 degrees and 28 minutes of Sagittarius, which will directly square Vesta, which is at, where's Vesta over here? I think she's in Pisces, yeah. Which is at 10 degrees and 57 minutes Pisces. So that is a 0 degree and 31-minute orb. Lilith, as I've mentioned, is our dark divine feminine. Lilith is the repressed dark divine feminine that is so fucking sick of being repressed and pushed down and cast out. She just wants to exist in her full embodiment, right? Vesta is another vastly feminine aspect, but she's our devotion. Vesta is our sacred flame. Vesta is what ignites when we finally recognize the fullness and totality of our being. These two very powerful aspects of the divine feminine coming together with a 31-minute orb, not 31 degrees, 31-minute orb. That is a powerful combination of dark divine feminine energy. And Vesta is the energy of devotion. Vesta is the flame that we carry within us for the rest of our lives once that flame ignites. You can't put out the flame. The flame can get very dim and damp if you don't tend to it, but ultimately the flame will never go out. It can become just a smudge if you ignore that aspect of yourself completely, that devotional, that spirituality, that divine aspect of yourself. It'll get very, very low, but ultimately that flame will never extinguish. It's just waiting for you to tend to it again so the fire can grow once more. That's devotion. That's Vesta. This is showing devotion to all of those things we started out this reading talking about. This is showing devotion to that dark divine feminine aspect of yourself. All of the things society has taught you to repress or be ashamed about. This is showing devotion to those sides of you. This is showing devotion to those sides of you that have only ever wanted to be seen and known and felt and loved. and integrated because they are all a part of you. If you are able to show devotion to those aspects of yourself and not ignore them anymore, not shove them under the rug anymore, not hide them under your bed anymore, not lock them away in the closet anymore, if you open all of that, actually allow the light of the sun to illuminate all of the things you have been ignoring or repressing for far too long, this is an energy that will carry you very, very long time. For a very long time. And I won't lie, it may be uncomfortable if you're not used to facing those aspects of yourself head on. It will be uncomfortable if you have been repressing your true, enigmatic divine nature for a long time. But ultimately, Vesta as the sacred flame, she requires devotion. Lilith, as the dark mother, requires reverence and devotion. She is the most generous deity you will ever work with, but you need to come correct when it comes to Lilith. And this square that they're making, again, squares bring tension, but squares also ground energy. This is going to be what helps you carry that sacred flame to not only help you sort through all of the rubble of the Chiron energy we talked about for like multiple readings now, but also all of the rubble of all of the things you were still trying to keep hidden under the bed. That's the flame that's going to light your way. And the more every single thing you take out to look at and decide, keep, delete, throw away, the key, whatever you want to do, every individual thing, every time you put directed, intentive action and focus towards that, the flame grows and 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 grows. So first you'll have the sun illuminating all of those dusty parts that need to be seen and cleaned and swept and mopped and whatever. But then as you tend to the garden, if you will, as you tend to that stuff that needs to be seen and loved and integrated and or released, that flame will continue to grow. So not only will you have the illumination of the sun, but you'll have the illumination of this sacred flame. And then soon enough, when the sun moves out of that vicinity, so it's not as illuminated on Mother Lilith, you'll have this flame within you now. So the light you are now carrying within you, you will no longer rely on the light of the sun to ignite your path back to yourself. You're now carrying that sacred flame. And it almost feels like, with the moon in Libra being ruled by a domicile Venus. Venus is Aphrodite, traditionally speaking, or I should say, societally speaking. We see Aphrodite as the goddess of beauty, those divine feminine aspects that we have deemed acceptable to be seen and known and felt and loved and heard. Where Vesta and Lilith making a harsh aspect to one another, a harsh and grounding aspect to one another, it's almost as if the full moon with this aspect together, it's bringing both sides of your femininity. It's bringing the sides that are deemed acceptable and the sides that are deemed not acceptable. It's asking us to take both wolves inside of us and not have them battle it out anymore. Because remember, Aphrodite, the ruler of Venus and Taurus and Libra, she's not only the goddess of beauty, she's also the goddess of war. If you want to look at Norse mythology, it's the same thing for Freya. Not only the goddess of beauty and harmony and fertility, also the goddess of war. And that's what this full moon in Libra is asking us to do on April Fool's Day. It's asking us to take all aspects of ourselves, not only the beautiful, but also the damned, and merge them into one. Find that unity, 1 to 2 to 2 to 1. Did that land for anybody else? Did that just land for anybody else the way it just landed for me? You're no longer only expressing yourself as one side of yourself. You are allowing the unity of all sides of your being to come together. So it's not only just the one side of yourself. You are finding duality to merge both sides of yourself so you can become one again. But where here you were one as like a disconnected one, you bring yourself into unity to go back to a full embodied one, which then allows you to be one with the all. Oh, I have full body chills. Full body chills. Anyway, I've got to end this. This is very long. What a way to end it. This full moon is asking you to come into inner harmony, inner unity, inner balance by looking at what you've been repressing for far too long and giving all sides of yourself love. Bring awareness to that which you've been trying to keep hidden. Bring awareness. Awareness is the first step. And all of the deity energy, all of the planetary energy, as long as you are putting your awareness on the things you know need to change, even if you don't take any action towards it yet, because again, we still have Mercury and Mars and Pisces. We're still moving a bit slow underwater. Even if you put no tangible action to it yet, as long as your awareness is on it and the intention is there, you will be guided. What a way to end this. What a way to end this. Happy Aries season. I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Lots to look forward to. Anyway, thanks for being here. I love y'all. Be wild. My children. It's in a rhyme. Anyway, love y'all. Bye.